guys, and welcome to another episode of Box Thoughts. My name is Adil, and once again am very happy to have you here for yet another episode. So today's topic is regarding overthinking, which is something that I know a lot of my friends at least have and are affected by. And it's something that is very difficult to be able to ignore and overcome. And so I feel as though it's a topic I want to just shed a little bit of light on and offer some advice over it. Now, being affected by overthinking or having that overthinking mindset is very much like running on a treadmill. You're putting in a lot of effort to be able to move, but you're not really going anywhere and you're not achieving anything or moving towards anything by just standing there and running. And that can very easily relate to how it is with overthinking, because you can sit there for hours and hours for the whole day and be running through a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different instances in your mind, but in the end of the day you're not actually doing anything or achieving anything by running through these thoughts in your mind. Instead, it's creating more anxiety and creating a bigger issue than it is in resolving it. And as mentioned before, it can be very difficult to be able to ignore and move on, but there are ways to be able to silence it, or at least in some ways be able to reduce its effects on you. Now, when it comes to dealing with overthinking, one of the bigger players that really help you with moving on is keeping a positive mindset. And that's something that you can take to a lot of different aspects of life. Being able to maintain a positive outcome and a positive mindset goes a long way in being able to battle overthinking. And one of the things that you should always remember is to focus on what's in your control. Normally when it comes to overthinking, there's a lot of what if questions that come to mind and a lot of doubts that flood your mind as well. But a lot of the times some of those things are just completely impractical and almost impossible for them to happen. But in the moment, that's all you can think of and that's all you can consume your mind with. But in the end of the day, it's something that you can't really control. It may be someone's reaction to something that you may say, or the outcome of you doing something, or some news or outcome from something that you may have done back in the past. But in the end, what actually happens is not actually in your control. You can only control your actions, your responses, and your mindset towards it, and your reaction to it all. But you can't control what actually happens. So it's always important to just focus on what's in your control. And one of the main things about that is how you react to it all. You can either go towards a negative path and say, this is how it is and it's all my fault, or you can look towards a positive outcome and look at how you can make the situation better or better use the situation that is presented to you. Now, in all aspects of life, everything happens for a reason, and that may be something that we may not want, that we weren't hoping for or weren't even expecting. But whatever happens for a reason, and in a lot of instances that's what we need and not so much what we want. And the reasoning for what we receive may not become very apparent at first, but further down the line you would be able to look back and see how much that one change in your environment or that one instance has made such a huge impact in your life to where you are standing now. But having that resolution takes some time to be able to come to, and it takes a lot of understanding of what has happened and what you did and what you achieved out of it to be able to really look at it and acknowledge and accept that it was for the better. But it always happens for a reason. If we were to able to get everything that we ever wanted in life, there would be no fulfillment. If we always got what we wanted, or for an outcome to be exactly how we always dreamed or wanted it to be, there would be no fulfillment. There would be no character development. but everything that happens makes you who you are and puts you into situations where it forces you to grow yourself. So the only way for yourself to grow is to deal with negativity, to deal with challenges, obstacles, adversities, and force yourself into an environment where you need to adapt and overcome any challenges to be able to mold yourself to the person who you're always meant to be. So that's the positivity that you can look towards within these kind of situations. And now we come towards our first quote for today, which is stop being scared of what could go wrong and start getting excited for everything that could go right. And that's something that we tend to oversee when we're having an overthinking mindset, is that we're always focusing on negativity and focusing on everything that could go wrong, everything that could potentially happen that may lead to a negative outcome. But we're completely ignoring the fact that everything can actually happen for the better, and there are a lot of positive outcomes that can actually happen, and we tend to just completely ignore those and focus only on the negative. So start getting excited for what could go right and prioritizing the positive over the negative, and it will go a long way, because again, we can't force things to happen. As much as we want them to happen, we can only control what is in our control, and we can't force positivity to come, especially when we're having a negative mindset. So always keep that in mind. So that pretty much brings us to the end of the episode. I wanted to keep it nice and short, but just give some pointers when it comes to dealing with overthinking or when you're in that kind of mindset. If you know anyone who's going through this, then feel free to send them the link so that they can get some of this advice as well. But in essence, or for conclusion, whenever you're in that mindset, always focus on the positives, because you can't expect positive outcomes if you're always maintaining a negative mindset. And focus on what you can control, like your actions, your responses, your emotions. You can control all of these things, so focus on those, because that is things you can change for the better. And always be expecting the best of things to happen and not so much the worst, because you never know what can happen. The only way to really figure out what can happen is to stick around and fight through all the challenges and break through all the walls to be able to figure that part out. But I'll leave you all with one final quote, which is, if you want to be happy, focus on yourselves and things under your control. Your life, your finances, your physical and mental well-being, and your spirituality. So I'll leave you with that to think about, but that comes to the end of our episode. So thank you very much for tuning in and watching yet another one from Box Thoughts. Please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and have a great rest of the day.